All right, this is going to be a full Smartlead.ai tutorial. I'm going to show you exactly how to use Smartlead to launch cold email campaigns in 2026. We're going to walk through all the different features, starting from how to create an account and then moving into how to set up email accounts, how to launch campaigns, how to check all your metrics and monitor your campaigns, how to view all your leads and your CRM. So we're basically going to walk through the entire platform, all the different features. So by the end of this video, there's basically going to be nothing that you don't know how to do within Smartlead. Now, for some context, my name is Alex. I run a B2B cold email agency called Sparklead. We've sent over 5 million cold emails, booked over 1,000 sales calls, and generated 1.2 million in revenue for our clients just using cold email. Now, we use Smartlead on a daily basis. This is where we launch all of our cold email campaigns for ourselves and for our clients. And I'm going to show you exactly how we use Smartlead at my agency. So for those of you that are not too sure about what Smartlead is or how you can use it, Smartlead is a cold email sending tool. So in other words, it's a tool that you can use to launch cold email campaigns. The good thing with Smartlead is that you can upload an unlimited amount of inboxes. You can warm up those inboxes, and I'll show you exactly what I mean later on in the video. And then you can actually launch campaigns through those inboxes. So rather than having to manually send emails through Google and Outlook, you can upload your email accounts into Smartlead. It could be 10 email accounts, 100 email accounts, 1,000 email accounts, and then you can actually launch campaigns and send emails through all those email accounts. You can also import your lead lists that you build. You can also import your scripts, and then you basically put everything together and launch campaigns through Smartlead. Now, one thing that I recommend to anyone who's just getting started out with Smartlead, even though we're going to talk about everything in this video, is to go into the Smartlead.ai website, go to resources, and then under Learn, you can see here that there is a Smartlead University. Then if you click on that, you'll see that it's going to bring you to this page right here. And here you can see that there are Smartlead demos. So if you click on that as well, how to use the global block list, how to manage thousands of campaigns, how to improve campaign performance. There's 24 different videos that you can watch here that go into detail about the little specific features that Smartlead offers. Then you can also see under Smartlead University, there's Smart Delivery, so how to improve your email deliverability, copywriting, automations, how to use Smartlead APIs, email deliverability and infrastructure. There's also ebooks and video guides. So there's over 100 different resources here that obviously offer a lot of value if you want to start using Smartlead. Regardless of whether you're going to watch this video or not, I still recommend that you go into Smartlead University and also watch all of these resources because they're going to give you even more detail on a couple of different topics. The first thing that you need to do in order to be able to launch campaigns using Smartlead is you need to create an account. So if you just go into smartlead.ai, it's going to bring you to this website here, and you go into pricing. So there's a bunch of different plans here, and depending on the number of contacts that you're going to upload, depending on the number of emails you're going to be sending out, then you need to choose the right plan for you. Now, my recommendation is just to go for the Pro plan if you're just starting out. Reason being that the base plan is only going to allow you to upload 2,000 contacts. Now, 2,000 contacts is not a lot. And you'll see that once you start uploading your email accounts, if you have 10, 20, 30, maybe 50 email accounts sending 10 emails a day, and you're sending 500 emails a day, then you're going to run out of contacts very, very quickly within less than a week. So I would recommend going for the Pro plan, which is going to be $94 a month. It's going to allow you to reach 30,000 contacts every single month. You're going to go into the growth tier warm-up pool as well. And I'm going to go into what exactly the warm-up process is and how to actually set your warm-up settings within Smartlead. You'll have CRM access, whereas with the base plan, you're not going to have CRM access. And then there's also a bunch of other features here that you can basically use in the Pro plan that you won't have in the base plan. But the main reason why the Pro plan is probably going to be a better fit is just because you can reach more contacts. So the main reason you're going to be using Smartlead and the main thing you're going to be doing in Smartlead is just going to be reaching out to new contacts. So that's the main feature that you should care about the most. And then if you're going to reach more than 30,000 contacts, you can then go into the Unlimited Smart or the Unlimited Prime, where you can actually reach an unlimited amount of contacts. Now, if you run a cold email agency and you have multiple clients, then you'll see that you're very, very quickly going to run out of these 30,000 contacts, and you're going to have to move into the unlimited package. But if you're just getting started out for yourself, then I would recommend going with the Pro plan. And you can also get started for free. So they'll actually offer you a 14-day free trial. So I'm not actually going to show you how to create an account. It's a very simple process. You just need to go into pricing, choose Pro, or you can just press get started for free. And it's going to allow you to create an account for 14 days. Then you're going to be billed 14 days later. So let's actually go into Smartlead so I can show you what exactly it's going to look like. This is the first thing you're going to see when you log into your Smartlead account. This is the Smartlead dashboard. The only difference is when you log into your account, there's not going to be any campaigns here because it's obviously going to be a new account. Now, as you can see, there's only one campaign here. So I used a couple of filters on the top right corner to filter it down to just one campaign. I think it's going to be easier to explain all the different metrics and dive into the analytics when there's just one campaign here. But we'll come back to the email campaigns after we talk about a few things that you need to do in order to actually reach this point here when you can actually launch a campaign and view the metrics. So on the left column is all the different features that Smartlead offers. So you have smart prospecting. Smart prospecting is where you can build lead lists, though truthfully, we don't actually use this feature within Smartlead. We use Apollo, Listkit, and other databases to build our lead lists, and then we just upload them into Smartlead. Email campaigns is where you can view your campaigns. The master inbox is where you can view all your responses after you launch campaigns. Email accounts is where you can connect your email accounts and upload them into Smartlead. And then you can also monitor those email accounts and the reputation through email accounts here. The next one is all leads and CRM. So this is where you can view all the leads that you've uploaded into Smartlead, and you can also categorize them. Integrations is where you can check whether you can integrate Smartlead with Slack, with Google Sheets, with Google Drive, or any other integration that you want to set up is going to be through the integration feature. Client access, if you run a cold email agency and you want to give access to your clients, you can create a dashboard for them through client access. Global analytics, you can just view your analytics. Smart delivery, smart servers, and smart agents we'll come back to towards the end of this video because I want to first show you all the main features that you're going to be using within Smartlead. I'm not going to go through these in order. I'm going to go through these in order of importance and essentially in order of how you're going to be using them. So the first thing you need to do in order to be able to launch campaigns, in order to be able to even have a master inbox, is you need to first connect your email accounts and set up email accounts in Smartlead. I'm not going to show you how to actually set up email accounts and what email accounts to set up in this video. If you don't have any inboxes yet, then go and watch the video that I posted before this one that's called How to Set Up Google and Outlook Inboxes for Cold Email. And in that video, I show you what inbox providers to use, how to set up those inboxes, and how to connect them to your Smartlead account. So after watching that video, you'll understand how we got to this point right here where I have all my email accounts uploaded into Smartlead. And this is something you need to do if you want to use Smartlead to launch cold email campaigns. Now, as you can see here, there's only 32 email accounts. So I've used a couple of filters once again to filter it down to the inboxes that are owned by myself, not inboxes that we use for clients. And I've also filtered it down to one inbox provider. So I've used two tags here. One of them is Sparklead, which is my agency, and then Premium for premium inboxes, which is the inbox provider that we used. So the filter is just a good way for you to organize the kind of inboxes that you can see here. So if you want to view just your clients' inboxes, you can use that tag. If you want to view all the inboxes that you set up with a specific provider, then once again, you can use the filter to do that. You can also filter based on warm-up score. So for example, if you want to see any inboxes that have a warm-up reputation less than 100%, then you can also use the filter button right here to do that. And now I just filtered it down to 32 email accounts. So as you can see, the first thing you can do is you can see the name of your inbox. You can then also see the email address, and you can also see the provider, which is going to be Google or Outlook. The vendor is always going to be Smartlead. You can see the daily limit, so how many emails you're going to be sending every day. You can check if the warm-up is enabled, and then you can also check the warm-up reputation, which is going to be 100%. If it's less than 99, 98%, then you probably have something that you need to check, or maybe some sort of an issue with that inbox. Then the mailbox issues, so if you do have an inbox, is going to show up right here. So the reason why this is blank right now is because there's no issue with the mailbox. All right, so this is basically what the email account section looks like. You're not really going to be using the domains or the smart sender orders. You're going to be buying your domains from somewhere else, and you're going to be creating email accounts based on those domains. Then you're going to be importing those email accounts into Smartlead. So don't actually buy your domains through Smartlead. Don't actually set up your email accounts through Smartlead. Just set up your inboxes separately and then import them into Smartlead. So if you want to know how to buy domains and how to set up email accounts, I have videos explaining how to do that, and then essentially how to upload them into Smartlead. So you're not going to be using these two features right here. Now, what you can do within the email account section is also check the individual settings per email account. So if you just click on Open New Tab here, you can now see that we've come into the email account view. So you can see essentially a summary of how many warm-up emails have been sent, how many landed in the inbox, how many emails were received. And then here you can also see that the 2 weeks warm-up period was also successfully completed. So when you upload a fresh email account into Smartlead, the first thing that needs to happen is a 14-day warm-up process. And essentially, as that warm-up process is happening, you'll see here that it's not going to say completed. And once those 14 days happen, you'll see that it's going to say that the warm-up process has successfully been completed. And you can see some of the warm-up emails sent, and you can see some of the warm-up settings in the overview. Now, the next thing you can do is you can come into general. So this is where you can set how many cold emails you're going to be sending every day, not warm-up emails. I recommend for fresh accounts starting at 10 to 12 emails a day with a minimum time gap of 20. Now here you can also set up your signature. At the end of your email script, there should always be a signature saying thanks, your name, your position at your company, and then also your company name. Now, the reason why we've got these brackets all around these words is basically called spin tags. We use this for deliverability purposes. So the point of using spin tags is to make sure that every email you're sending out does not look identical. So when you add this one curly bracket on one side, one curly bracket on the other side, and then you have these vertical lines in between the different variations of how to say the same thing, then essentially when Smartlead is sending out emails, it's going to alternate between thanks, best, and regards. And then same here, it's going to alternate between this version of saying my name and then this version of saying my name. And then once again, founder and then CEO. So when you're creating your signature, just basically copy what I did right here, but just use your own name, your own position, and your own company name as well. It's going to help your deliverability. Now, the next step is the warm up. So always keep your warm up enabled. So when you set up your inboxes, and this is something that I talk about in the other video as well, you should always keep your warm up enabled. Okay, so even after the 14-day warm up process finishes, keep your warm up enabled. And you don't actually need to touch these settings here, because if you set up your inboxes the way that I show you how to do it in the previous video, your inbox provider is going to set up these settings for you. So you don't need to manually do this. But essentially here you can just check the number of warm up emails per day, the daily ramp up, the randomization number, the reply rate, and then just basically make sure that these three at the bottom are not ticked. In terms of management, you can just set your tags here. I'm not going to open up this section because we also have some client tags, but essentially you can also add these inboxes to a client, or you can add a tag here as well. And then in campaigns, you can also check essentially which campaigns are associated with this inbox. So if I go back into the email account section, when you open up your email account, that's how you can basically check all the settings and modify them. And then if you ever, for example, want to make a bulk decision and you want to change something across all your email accounts, you don't need to do that individually. You just click on this box right here. You can select all, apply selection, and then you can bulk update. And then when you bulk update, let's say, for example, you want to go from sending 10 emails a day to 15 emails a day, but you want to do that across all your email accounts. You don't need to do it individually. All you need to do is you need to bulk update all 32 inboxes using this button right here. So that's all you need to do in the email account section. This is the first thing that you need to do if you want to launch any email campaigns within Smartlead. And these are basically all the features that you're going to be using within email accounts. I don't want to go into anything that you're not going to be using. These are the main things that you need to know: how to set up email accounts, how to connect them to Smartlead, how to check your settings, how to add a signature, and how to adjust the number of emails that you're sending. Now, the warm-up reputation is going to be right here. And essentially, you just want to be monitoring this on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, to ensure that your warm-up reputation is always going to be as close as possible to 100. So the next thing you want to do after you set up your email accounts is you want to launch email campaigns. Once again, I'm not going to go through these in order. I'm going to go through these in order of how you're going to be using them. Okay, so first you do the email accounts, then you want to build an email campaign. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to show you some of the metrics here, how we analyze a campaign, and then we'll also create a campaign from scratch. So one thing that's important to mention is that it's always good to have a naming convention. So you should have a way of naming your campaigns. So for example, the way I do it is the industry I'm targeting, the location I'm targeting, the headcount of the companies that I'm targeting, and the date that I actually launched the campaign. You can also add how many leads are in the campaign. There's many ways you can go about naming your campaigns. Just make sure you keep it organized, that you're not naming your campaigns in 100 different ways, so that when you have 100 campaigns or 50 campaigns, you want to be able to navigate through this section very easily. Now, because there's just one campaign here, it looks very simple. When there's lots of campaigns, it's very important to stay organized. Now, the next thing you can see here is how many leads you're contacting in this campaign, how many emails you've sent, your reply rate, and then your positive reply rate as well, how many emails have bounced, and then also the sender bounced. So what you can do now, if you want to view this campaign in more detail, is just once again opening it through that button. And you can see here that this campaign is now paused now because it reached the auto protection bounce rate limit. So a lot of emails bounce, so now it's paused. and then you can actually resume it. But essentially, this is where you can see all your different metrics for this campaign. So you can see once again all these different numbers, how many people responded, how many leads you contacted, etc., etc. You can also see the campaign reach and distribution through here as well. So how many emails you sent, how many people replied, and you can also set a specific date range in order to view those metrics. And then if you scroll down even more, you can also see per email variant, so per script. So for example, we had email variant A and variant B in our scripts, and you can see which variant performed better as well. So how many people responded to variant A, how many responded to variant B, how many of those replies were positive, how many people unsubscribed from my email campaign through a specific variant. So then based on these metrics here, you also know how to adjust, and if you need to eliminate some of your script variants, if you need to add any new variants and all that stuff. So you can do that through your sequences. You can also go through the lead stats here. It's going to give you a bunch of analytics, how many people were interested, how many asked for more information, out of office. So these are a couple of analytics that you can view within the dashboard. If you go into performance, then you can also see here a couple of details regarding your campaign in terms of health as well. So you can see here the sending efficiency score is excellent. So no emails are disconnected, no emails sent time discrepancy. Don't need to spend too much time like talking about this, but you can see here basically a bunch of analytics to do with your campaign. You can just once again see how many leads you contacted, how many were completed, how many got blocked. Now, the more campaigns you run, the more familiar you're going to get with this part of Smartlead, with this feature. So if I just explain everything to you here, if you haven't actually launched the campaign yet, then it's not going to make sense. Now, in the inbox, you can also see your actual leads and how people responded. You can also see your lead list right here. You can also create a subsequence here. So for example, if you launch a campaign, someone responds to your initial email positively, you then pitch a call, but then they ghost you. You can then add them into a subsequence to keep following up with that person. Here you also have the trigger log. So you can actually see every time Smartlead triggered an email to be sent. And then you also have your smart servers right here. So right now there's no smart server associated with this campaign, but that's basically all the analytics and all the metrics and what you can see within every given campaign. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to actually create a campaign from scratch. So if you want to create a campaign from scratch, you go to the top right corner, you click on create campaign. The first thing you need to do, because we don't actually use Smart Prospect, we're going to click on browse here. So in order to do this, you need to already have a lead list, which is going to be the next video. I'm going to show you how to create a lead list as well using Apollo. But for now, I'm just going to use an existing CSV file that I have. I'm going to upload this lead list right here. Once you upload a lead list, it's going to ask you to map all the fields. So you have a CSV file with different columns, and you're going to have to map those columns with essentially different variables. So for example, you have a column in your CSV file that says first name, then last name, then email. So you need to map those so Smartlead knows that in your script, every time it sees first name, it's going to replace it with the first name of the prospect that was in the CSV file. So you have first name, last name, company name for emails is going to be the company name. The email is going to be email. And then we'll also do the LinkedIn profile, which is going to be the LinkedIn profile here. So you don't actually need to map all of these. You can leave some of these blank. And then if you see that any of the fields that you want to map are not in the given selection that Smartlead offers, you can just click on custom field. So for example, if I go down and I want to include the industry, so the industry, as you can see, is not included in the selections that Smartlead offers. So this means that if you want to include the prospect's industry in your email script, so if you want to call out their industry, and for example, you want to say in your script, we help industry companies, so we help marketing companies, what you can do is you can click on custom field. If you click on custom field, then this is going to be the new variable. But if you can see that there's an existing variable here that Smartlead offers, the variable is going to be LinkedIn profile. It's not going to be person LinkedIn URL. Okay, but if you click on custom field, it's basically going to be this variable here. Okay, so the next thing you need to do once you set this up, you can set a client ID here. I'm going to leave this blank. I'm going to click on save and next. So basically, once you click on save and next, now Smartlead is going to import that CSV file. It's going to take a few minutes here. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to come back once the CSV file has been imported. All right, so now the leads have been imported. And the next step, as you can see here, is to create your sequence. Okay, so as you can see on the left side here, it says email follow-up. You can add as many variants as you want for your scripts here. So in this case, I'm going to create a 3-step sequence with 2 variants for each step. Okay, so if you want to create a new variant for a single step, you just click on add variant. If you want to add a new step, you click on add step, email, and then you basically add a new variant once again, add step, new email. And then basically right now we have a 3-step sequence. So what this means is that in email 1, which is going to be the initial touch point, we're going to have 2 options, which means that Smartlead is going to alternate between these 2 options. Then after 4 days, it's going to start sending follow-ups. So if someone doesn't respond to the initial email, it's then going to start sending the follow-ups. And once again, we have 2 variants here. Okay. And then after 5 days, if people don't respond to the first follow-up, it's going to also send the second follow-up. So the more variants you add here, then obviously it's going to be split testing between these variants. And then that way, when you go into your campaign analytics, you'll be able to see which variant is performing better. All right, so I'm not actually going to create a proper sequence here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to write some small scripts just so you can see what it's going to look like at the end. So let's say email 1A, the first thing you always need to do is you need to add a subject line. So the subject line that I'm going to use is thoughts. And then if you add 2 of these brackets, you can now add a variable as well. So I'm going to add first name. So what it's going to do now is going to replace the first name of every single prospect, and it's going to be thoughts first name. And I'm actually going to copy this subject line, and I'm also going to paste it into variant B. In terms of subject lines, you don't need to add a subject line to your follow-ups, because if you don't add a subject line and you leave it empty, it's just going to basically reply in the same thread. Okay, so if you want it to be in the same thread, then you just leave the same subject line. So the next thing you can do now is you need to write your actual script. So we'll say, hey, first name, we can build a targeted cold email campaign for you that brings leads in every month on autopilot. We've done it for Nike and Adidas already, and they generated 100K in revenue. Are you open to a call? Okay, so this is obviously not a cold email script that you would use. I'm not going to spend too much time trying to think of a really good script now, but essentially this is how you write a script. And then when you use these variables, it's basically going to replace what is in the CSV file, and it's going to replace it here, and it's going to allow you to personalize your emails. So what you can do is you can also add another variable. So for example, hey, first name, came across, and then we can also use company name, came across company name online. So now what it's going to do is also going to replace the company name. Okay, we can build a targeted cold email campaign for you that brings, let's just make this 5 to 10 qualified leads in every month on autopilot. We've done it for Nike and it does already, and they generated 100K in revenue. Are you open to a call? Okay, so this is going to be our first script. Now for variant B, I'm just going to copy this right here, but the only difference is I'm going to add a PS line. So as you can see here, if you don't type in signature, it's going to add your email account signature to the end of the email. However, if you want to add a PS line, you can actually take this, you can type in signature, then you can add a PS line at the bottom that says, so you've been working at company name for the past 3 years. What got you started over there? Okay, so now if you add a PS line, then you can add this percentage, signature, percentage sign, and now it's going to add the signature here. So then you can add your PS line underneath the signature. And essentially, when you're split testing different script variants, you don't always need to change the entire script. So sometimes if you just change one variable, that's a good enough split test. Okay, so we have the exact same script. The only difference is that now we have a PS line. Or for example, you can also change the CTA. So could I send you a 2-minute video explaining further? Okay, so this is also going to be a good split test. Now, then we move into the follow-up. So we can say, hey, first name, contacted you 4 days ago, helping you generate more leads. I'm still open to meeting for a quick coffee. Let me know. So for example, if you're launching a local campaign, you can always say, let's meet for a quick coffee. Okay. Then if we go into email B, then we can say, hey, first name, contacted you 4 days ago about helping you generate more leads. Recently helped Under Armour generate 15 leads in 33 days using cold email. Can I send you some more info? Okay, so this could be another variant. And then if they don't respond to this, we can go into the last step and we can say, hey, first name, assuming you're busy, is there someone else at company name that I should speak with about generating you more leads? Okay, so this is basically how you create a sequence. Don't just copy everything that I've written here. You need to put a lot more thought into writing a cold email script. But essentially, as you can see now, we have a 3-step sequence with variant 1, we have variant 2, the second step of the sequence, variant 1, variant 2, and then we also have a breakup email at the end that says, can I speak with someone else at your company about this? So if you're wondering what all these little features are here, the first feature is clean HTML. So if you want to make sure that there's no links in your email and that the format is correct, you can just highlight your text and then just click on this. It's going to clean the HTML. You don't expect anything to change. If nothing changes, then it means it's fine. This is where you can check all your variables and you can add all your different variables. And then here, if you have any email templates, or actually Smartlead also has some email templates, you can just check them here. We don't use any of these, but if you want to use some of these, then you can always check them out, maybe get some ideas. And then essentially, we don't actually use any of these filters here because you don't want to insert any images. You don't want to insert any links here. So what you want to do is you're just going to write your email in plain text, and then you just want to start sending. Okay, so that's basically what you need to know when it comes to writing your email scripts and creating a sequence. And then you can also preview the email. If you're sending it to, for example, Stuart, and you can see it says, "Hey, Stuart, came across Coverdell online. We can build a targeted cold email campaign for you that brings 5 to 10 qualified leads in every month on autopilot. We've done it for Nike and Adidas already, and they generated 100K in revenue. Are you open to a call?" It's actually a pretty good script. So you can always check what your script is going to look like when your prospect receives it. So, "Hey, Stuart, contacted you 4 days ago about helping you generate more leads. I'm still open to meeting for a quick coffee. Let me know." Okay. And you can check this for a bunch of different leads. "Hey, Josh, contacted you 4 days ago." So that's how you create a sequence. Now, once you create your sequence, you click on save and next. All right. So the next step is you need to actually set up the campaign and choose your email accounts. You have to schedule the campaign. So what time you're going to be launching, and also configure your campaign settings. So in terms of email accounts, you just have to press choose sender accounts and select all your email accounts. Once again, I have a filter here so you can just see those 32 email accounts that I showed you previously. So you can just select all of these 32 email accounts, apply selection, save email accounts, and now you know you're going to be sending through those email accounts. Then you can click on schedule campaign. So just choose your time zone. If you're in New York, then you can just press, for example, America, New York. You only send on weekdays. Start sending. I usually like to have this to be like 9:03 or 9:05. I don't like using a round number. And then you can have this to be until 6:05 with a minimum time gap of 20. And then this is if you want to schedule your campaign for a couple of days in the future. In this case, we don't want to schedule our campaign for the future. Max number of new leads reached per day per campaign. So they just, you need to do a bit of simple math here. So if you have, for example, 10 email accounts that are sending 10 emails a day, it means you can send 100 emails a day. So the max number of new leads reached per day per campaign is going to be 100. So we'll keep that as saved. And then you go into your campaign settings, add some sort of a name here. So if we're reaching out to marketing companies that are based in the UK that have 20 plus employees, and we're reaching out to, for example, 2K leads, and we're launching this campaign on the 25th of January in 2026. That's a name that's going to definitely help me identify this campaign. Now, for the next couple of steps, I'm going to explain to you really briefly what each of these things are, but just basically copy my screen and just do the exact same thing in your Smartlead account. So stop sending messages when your lead replies to an email. Just keep that as ticked on. Email variant and spin tax distribution, have this as randomized. Then optimize email delivery. Select this because you want to always send your emails in plain text without any HTML. You never want to track your email opens or your link clicks. You can assign a smart server. I haven't actually ran you through this yet, so you can leave this as blank. And then usually just set this to 50% follow-ups and 50% new leads. The company level auto pause is if someone responds from a certain company with the same domain. If you wanted to stop reaching out to everyone else at the company, we usually just leave this unchecked. We also leave this unchecked here. If you wanted to auto-analyze your leads mailbox, so for example, to match Gmail to Gmail, Outlook to Outlook, then you can tick this. For example, let's say you just tick this here. And then essentially this part is where you can also add an intelligent AI lead categorization. So this is going to help you in your master inbox, which I'm going to show you once we fix up this campaign. What you want to do here is you want to press Intelli categorize your replies using Smartlead.ai. So when you launch the campaign and people start responding to you, Smartlead is going to automatically categorize whether a response is interested, whether you have an information request, whether someone is out of office, not interested. So if you just open that up, you can select up to 5. So the ones that we usually select are information request, interested, meeting request, not interested, and out of office. Okay, so now all the replies that come in are going to be categorized through these 5 categories, basically. And then you can either choose to ignore the out of office reply from your reply percentage, or you can include it. And then you can also automatically restart out of office when a lead returns, meaning if someone says through an automatic response that they're out of office and they're going to return back to the office in 14 days, if you click on this here, Smartlead is going to restart the sequence in 14 days. So this is really good. So you can leave the other 2 unchecked. And then a high bounce rate auto protection, you can just set this to 5%. So if your campaign goes above 5% bounce rate, then essentially the campaign is going to pause and you need to just basically go through it and check it, see if there's anything you can do to reduce the bounce rate. We usually leave these 2 unchecked, so we don't actually add an unsubscribe link, because we always set our campaigns to be in plain text. Now, what we do in order to make sure that we're still going to be compliant, rather than having an unsubscribe link, you can always add a PS line at the end of your script that says, PS, please reply with no thanks if you're not interested, and I'm not going to send you any more emails. So that way you're still going to be compliant. And all you need to do is you need to go back into sequences, and you just need to add that little line at the end of your email. So if you do that, you're still going to be compliant. It's still considered an opt-out, but just rather than having people click on a link to unsubscribe, they just have to reply to you saying no thanks. And essentially, then you just remove them from the cold email campaign. And the reason why this also works really well is because you encourage people to respond to you, which means that you get more replies. That improves your domain reputation. And essentially, in the long run, it's going to be really good for you deliverability wise. So then you press save and next. And now you can basically view what your campaign is going to look like. So you can see your subject line, you can see your script, hey Stuart, you can also see the signature and then the PS line at the bottom. So you've been working at Coverdale for the past 3 years, what got you started over there. You can also check what it's going to look like for each of your leads. So, hey Mohammed, came across Prospect Direct franchise leads online. We can build a targeted cold email campaign for you that brings 5 to 10 leads every month. You can see this is variant A, then this is still variant A. This now is going to be variant B. Okay, so you can actually see what it's going to look like. Because a lot of the times it might look good in the sequences, but then when you actually replace the variables with their name and their company name and any other variable that you want to include, sometimes it might not look, as good as you think it's going to look. So in that case, you need to go back into your sequences, and you need to just make sure that you make all the adjustments to make sure that you would actually respond to the email that you're sending out to people. And then you just want to click on Start Campaign. When you click on Start Campaign, I'm not actually going to launch this campaign, but when you click on Start Campaign, if I go back to my Smartlead dashboard, you're basically going to get this thing right here. So you're going to have a new campaign that's going to say 0% completed. You're going to be able to see the name that you used. You're going to be able to see how many leads you contacted, how many emails have been sent. You're not going to have an open rate tracking. It's going to say NA because we switched off open rate tracking. You don't want to track your open rates, how many people replied, and you're also going to see how many people replied positively. Okay, so that's how you launch an email campaign within Smartlead. Now, when these replies are coming in, you go into your master inbox. And as you can see here, so these are just a bunch of the campaigns that we launched. This is our master inbox. So if you just take a look at these leads here, you can see that Smartlead auto-categorized this to interested, 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 not interested, out of office, not interested, not interested, interested. So you can see here that when the prospect responded, Smartlead took that response and they categorized it. And that is also how your campaign metrics are formed. So where you see how many people responded positively, how many people responded, but it's not a positive response, it's using these categorizations right here. So that's basically how you manage your master inbox. Any unread replies that you have are going to be in the unread reply section. So we don't have any unread replies right now. We've responded to all of the prospects that responded to us. So there's nothing here. But when you do launch campaigns, all the unread replies are going to be here. Once you read them, they're going to go into your inbox. And they're basically just going to be right here. Okay. Then you can also see the emails that you sent in the sent section. You're basically not really going to be using any of the other features too much. Okay, so on track replies, archived. If you schedule any responses, then you'll be able to see them here. If you set any reminders, you can also check that here. But the main ones you're going to be using are inbox, unread replies, basically just to manage your inbox and to respond to your prospects. These are the main two that you're going to be using. So now you know how to connect your email accounts, how to check your email accounts, how to launch campaigns, how to check your master inbox. Now, the next thing you can do is you can check your leads and your CRM. So this function right here is now under CRM. So it's not actually working. So if I go into the CRM, you can see here new leads that you've contacted, emails that you've sent, replies that you've received. And you can also add certain filters to make sure that you're viewing it within a given date range or for a given client or for a given tag that you have for a campaign. You can basically do that all here. And then the next step is you can view your integrations. So if you want to connect your Smartlead account to Clay, to Lead Magic, to ListKit, you want to be able to automatically upload leads from ListKit straight into Smartlead, into a campaign, and you can do that through here. I'll make a separate video going into that part because it gets a bit more technical. You can also check your client access. You can view global analytics. So you'll just be able to see essentially, once again, how many leads you contacted, how many emails you sent out, how many people responded, interested, not interested, out of office, and it will give you a bit of a feel as to how your campaigns are performing. Then you also have Smart Delivery. Now, Smart Delivery is also a feature that you can use just to check if your emails are landing in the primary inbox or if they're landing in the spam folder. You can create a spam test up here in the top right corner. You can just choose a campaign, choose email accounts, and then essentially when you choose those email accounts, it's going to basically run a test to see where the emails are landing. We use an external tool in order to do that. That's why we don't actually run any tests within Smartlead. Then you also have smart servers. So this improves your deliverability. If you want to create a new smart server to actually be sending your emails from, you can set a country, US, EU, how many servers you actually want. And then you can actually just complete the purchase. It's going to cost $39. And then if I'm not mistaken, Smartlead is going to give you one free smart server that you can actually use as well. And it's basically going to be a dedicated email server with your own IP. You have full control over your deliverability. And as you can see here, it's basically going to improve your deliverability. Then the next step is smart agents. So this is where you can basically create an AI agent and you can integrate it with Slack. So for example, for our clients, we use an agent through Smartlead to send performance reports, to give us updates about the health of our inboxes, or to give us updates when a campaign is reaching 100% completion rate. So you can basically create an agent for anything. But if I go into templates, just so you can see a couple of templates that Smartlead offers, you have here the daily stale reply monitor. So it monitors your replies every day to identify leads that replied. Daily email quality check, capacity alert. You have client performance daily report, follow-up reminder. So you have here, you can also connect it to a LinkedIn lead auto push. So you can then connect with people on LinkedIn through a smart lead campaign when people respond positively to your cold email campaign. So once again, this is a whole new chapter within Smartlead, how to create AI agents and how to create different integrations to help you run more efficient campaigns, more effective campaigns, how to connect Smartlead to other tools, which once again, I'll make a whole separate video going into these things because it's just a whole separate chapter. But essentially, this is another aspect of Smartlead. This is also a new feature. It wasn't always around, but it's really, really good. And as you can see, there's a lot of people that are using these features, including ourselves. It's really good, especially if you're running an agency, you have multiple campaigns, multiple clients. It definitely helps you run a more efficient cold email operation. But essentially, I would start off by using some of these templates. If you use the templates that are already built out, it's going to be easier rather than you trying to actually create your own agent right off the bat. And then once again, if you go into Smartlead University, it's what I showed you previously, where you can check all these different courses that Smartlead offers. And then essentially, that's basically how you use Smartlead. So you now know how to create campaigns in Smartlead, how to check your master inbox, how to respond to prospects, how to check your unread replies, your inbox, how to check the emails that you've sent, how to categorize those replies, how to connect your inboxes. If you are not too sure about how to do that part, then go and watch the previous video I made that is specifically about how to upload Google and Outlook inboxes. You know how to check all your leads and also view your CRM as well. You know how to check all your analytics, all your metrics, both for your campaigns and for your email accounts to monitor the success of your campaigns and the health of your email accounts. That's basically a beginner's tutorial to Smartlead. You should now have a really good understanding of how to use Smartlead. Now, with that being said, the only way to get better at using Smartlead, the only way to become even more familiar with all the different features is by launching campaigns. So just by watching this video, this is not enough for you to be 100% confident in using Smartlead. You need to actually get your hands dirty if you want to be 100% confident in using this platform. It's not the easiest platform to use because there's so many features and there's so many things that you can do. So the only way to get good at it is by actually using it. Now, if you have any questions regarding everything or anything that I've explained in this video, then just let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you either by creating a new video or if it's something simple, just by replying to your question in the comment section. With that being said, that's how you use Smartlead. This has been a full Smartlead tutorial. Hope this was helpful and I'll see you in the next one.